Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Middle East Matters on France 24. Coming up, as thousands board migrant boats from northern Lebanon in the desperate hope of beginning a new life in Europe, our correspondents meet one family who lost 6 members when their vessel sank off the coast of Syria last month. We'll discuss the soaring poverty that's driving the exodus and how smugglers are organising their activities when we're joined in studio by Sharif Bibi, journalist at the Info Migrant website. And lakes reduced to puddles and families and farmers forced to relocate to wetter lands. Vast stretches of the Iraqi marshlands have been baked dry by severe drought, low rainfall and neglect. Home to numerous threatened species, biodiversity in the marshes is also at risk. Boarding rickety and overcrowded boats, increasing numbers of people are attempting the perilous voyage from Lebanon to Europe in a desperate bid to seek a better life. An estimated 3,500 migrants have set off on the journey so far this year, twice the figure for all of 2021. 3 years into Lebanon's devastating financial collapse, some 80% of the population is now living below the poverty line. That's driving more and more people to risk their lives on the open seas. Last month, at least 100 people were killed when a migrant boat capsized off the Syrian coast. Our correspondents have been meeting a family who lost a father, mother and 4 children in the tragedy. They sent us this report.
At the family home, Ali receives condolences from relatives and members of her village. On September 22nd, her son Ali and daughter-in-law, along with their 4 children, drowned when their boat heading to Italy capsized near the Syrian city of Tartus. She's still in shock over her son's death.
What did he say to you before he left?
He asked me for my blessing and if I had one last wish. He told me that he was looking for a decent life, away from schemers, to raise his children. May God be merciful to them, and that they are allowed to enter paradise and its abundance.
Seeing his mother in distress, Abu Yunus asked us to stop filming.
Take her inside.
Before going to the mosque for Friday prayers, Yunus visits the family grave for some quiet reflection.
6 bodies were buried in the same place, 6 dead from the same family. Ali is gone for good and we have nothing left of him. It's a tragedy, a real tragedy.
It's a similar sad story that's been happening in many villages in northern Lebanon in recent months, the country's poorest region. Still, nothing will discourage Khalid from making the dangerous journey in search of a better life. He has 2 children to support and ekes out a living recycling tires. Today, he has only one goal: to leave Lebanon.
Winter is coming. How do you expect me to support my family in these conditions? I'm getting ready to leave. I've sold everything. The lives of those who died at sea are not more precious than mine. They left because they were hungry.
Many see leaving as the only option as the country falls deeper into a devastating economic and humanitarian crisis that has made daily life nothing but a struggle.
Aren't you afraid?
What should I be afraid of? Either way, we're dying. It's the same thing. Come on, give it to me.
What are your expectations once you get there?
I want to ensure a future for my children. There's no bread or milk here. A small bag of powdered milk costs us 20 euros.
At the Abda port, activity is slowing down. In recent months, dozens of boats have set sail from here, hoping to reach Europe.
I brought my son and put him on a boat that left here with between 230 and 240 people on board. If someone wants to leave, he calls a smuggler. He takes care of the boats, the logistics for the trip, and accompanies that person to the departure place. This is how smugglers go about sending someone out to sea.
The Mediterranean Sea has now also become a lucrative route for Lebanese smugglers who demand between 2,000 and 5,000 euros per passenger, while Lebanese authorities struggle to police the maritime borders.
Well, for more, I'm joined in studio by Sharif Bibi, a journalist at the Info Migrant website here at France 24. Good to have you with us this week, Sharif.
Thank you very much.
So we saw in that report there the desperation that is driving people to board these migrant boats and the devastation caused by these tragedies at sea. Tell us, what is behind the current exodus?
Well, almost 3 years ago, Lebanon descended into one of its worst economical crises ever. Around 80% of the population now are living in poverty. According to the World Bank, around 6 million people are facing poverty now in Lebanon. So this has conveyed itself on other aspects, life aspects. You have education, health, electricity, fuel, and lately we have seen the problem of the grain shortages that Lebanon has faced, like a couple of months ago, and this has created lots of problems inside Lebanon by itself. Not only poverty, not only what it has implicated on the lives of people, but also amongst the different societies living in Lebanon now. And let me go back to the number of 80%. 80% is not Lebanese. It's all the people living in Lebanon, because we know, like Lebanon, it has the Lebanese people, and it hosts around 1 million Syrian refugees, and hosts around 170, 180,000 Palestinian refugees also, in addition to the labor migrants who are also still living in Lebanon, still trying to find the means to live over there. So all of this has accumulated into a drastic measures that the people need to take in order to flee these situations and to reach safe haven of Europe, basically.
All of this, of course, is being organised by smuggling gangs. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Of course. Smuggling gangs now are becoming more and more organised. Like some of the witnesses told us that people from Syria are coming to Lebanon specifically to board on these boats and to go to Europe. From Iraq also, people are coming. Of course, this is according to witnesses from Lebanon. It has also created a kind of an economical circuit over there. Like, more or less a boat with 120 to 200 people, it generates $300,000 for these smugglers, for these gangs. Even the organization has inflicted itself on the routes themselves. Like people now, the smugglers, they are not taking people out, or more or less they are telling people who are not going to Cyprus or to Greece, who are going directly to Italy, due to the refugee status over there, because Cyprus, we all know, like since 2020, it has signed an agreement with Lebanon to send back whoever comes with boats. They send them back to Lebanon, so people, they don't want to go to Cyprus. And Greece is doing the same thing. We have witnessed pushbacks into Turkey. Lebanese boats, around 6 Lebanese boats arrived in the Greek waters, and they were pushed back to Turkey. So basically, these smugglers are offering also this service, quote to quote, to take people to Italy to, of course, not all the boats are arriving there, and they are not up to their word, but it's part of their new organizing scheme, basically.
Okay, Sharif, thank you so much for joining us this week. That is Sharif Bibi, journalist at the Info Migrant website here at France 24. Thank you.
Thank you.
A unique ecosystem that was once a major migration route for billions of birds. It's coming under increasing threat from rising temperatures and severe drought. The World Heritage listed Iraqi marshlands are getting drier each year due to what environmentalists say are ineffective government policies and the negative effects of climate change. Our correspondents in Iraq have been meeting farmers who now have no choice but to move to wetter lands. They sent us this report.
Iraq's southern marshes, the largest wetlands in the Middle East. Now almost half of their surface area has dried up since record high temperatures this summer. The ecosystem is under threat and local farmers are helpless. Abu Radi's family have raised and sold water buffalo and their milk for generations. Now his livelihood is hanging in the balance.
Before, the water level in the reeds were much higher, a good 2 meters higher. Now everything is dry. My buffalo have nothing left to eat. I have to go and buy them feed now.
He also has to buy them water to drink, but at €4 for 200 litres, he can't afford to.
A lot of the animals died of thirst or of hunger. This year it all disappeared. We were left with nothing.
Some farmers have migrated to wetter areas in an attempt to save their livestock.
We were in the central part of the marshlands, and then we came here to the west, where there's still a little water, but it's no good here either, really.
Residents here say the government's done nothing to save the marshes. The Iraqi Ministry for Hydraulic Resources should supply them with 6 million cubic metres of water annually, but this year they failed to provide them with the bare minimum.
We went out and protested 3 months ago. We didn't even have water to drink. But nothing has changed.
The dams built between Turkey and Iran are another problem. Reducing the flow in the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, they bring in water from the Gulf. But since it's 7 times more saline than fresh water, it's bad for farming.
It's the worst season I've seen in 25 years. Climate change is affecting us and we can't save our crops. They're suffering from the lack of water and the salinity.
These marshlands constitute a unique ecosystem, essential for the survival of many different species. This biodiversity is now seriously under threat. Environmental activist Jassim Al-Assadi has seen the evidence.
It is difficult now. You can see the Iraqi famous fish here in the marshes because the drought. Only there is some kind of fish, it is salinity fish.
Hundreds of species of migratory birds would flock to this region in the winter, like herons and flamingos. Today, as these wetlands dry out, they're a much rarer sight.
That's it for this episode of Middle East Matters. Thanks for watching, and do stay tuned for more world news here on France 24.
With Brazilians about to vote in the presidential election, our journalists went to meet the Lula generation. Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva was the country's first left-wing president. He instigated sweeping social reforms, student grants, access to free healthcare, affordable housing. But in 2018, he was accused of corruption and jailed, losing many of his activists and supporters. Some idolize him and some deplore him. But what has become of the Lula generation? Watch reporters on France 24 and France24.com.